Okay guys, so we're gonna start by talking about the inputs and outputs connected to the PLC. First, here we have connected to the X1 input is the up limit switch. The up limit switch is right here. You see, we have two switches. The first one is on the conveyor, the second one is in the cleaning area. Now the function of these sensors is to stop the motor. When the motor comes from the cleaning area to the conveyor, there should be a sensor here that can stop the motor. The same goes for the cleaning area. There's a sensor here that stops the motor when it goes counterclockwise. So the first one, the upper one, is connected to X1. The second one is connected to X2. After that, we have the emergency stop, of course, related to X3. We have the phase safety. Now, of course, to ensure that the motor, the conveyor and the other motor don't run backwards, we put a phase safety and we connected it to X4. It's like a relay that gives a sign to the PLC that there is something not right with the connection of the three phases, and if this is the case, it will stop running. After that, we have also a sensor related connected to X6. Now this ensures that there's always bottles coming from here, or else the machine will not work, of course. So that when the first bottle comes, it sees it and send a sign to the PLC. As for the outputs, first connected to Y0 is the conveyor motor, to Y1 is the actuator one, which is the one who interrupts the bottles at this point. The actuator 2 is connected to Y2. The actuator 3 is connected to Y3. To Y4, the gripper is connected. The gripper that holds the bottle. You see, it's also an actuator, pneumatic actuator here. This one holds the bottle together. Here, connected to Y5 and to Y7, is two relays for this motor. You see, this motor have two rotational movements, one clockwise and the other is anti-clockwise. So every motor is also connected to a speed driver that can change his direction. So for every direction we have a relay that is connected to the PLC. Now if you want to come towards the conveyor, we activate the relay connected to Y7, and if we wanted to go to the cleaning area, we activate the one that is connected to Y5. As for the cleaning nozzles, here we have pneumatic cleaning nozzle that blow air into the bottles to clean them. There's a valve connected to a relay which is connected to Y6. Here we have all the memories that we're going to use from the HMI. Now we will go into these while we are explaining the ladder program. We start here. This is our ladder program. We're going to explain it. Now first, when we hit the start button in the HMI, which is this one, when we go to automatic screen, this is the auto control. Let's open them all. This is the manual control. This is the engineer control. Okay, so when we go to the auto mode and we press on this button, the machine will start. This is connected to M0, the memory M0. What will this do is that it will activate Y0 here. Y0 is of course the conveyor, as we have said. Now there is two sections in this program. The main program is the automatic program, so we're going to explain it all. After that we will come to the manual program and we're also going to explain it. Of course they are combined. You see, this part is for the manual mode, but we will not get into it right now. So we press M0, the conveyor starts running. Now when M0 is activated and the bottle sensor sees a bottle, it will set a memory which is M100. Now this memory will activate a timer. This timer is T201. It takes the value of D410. Now this is a data register. Where did it get its value? As we can see here, we have a memory here that activates. This is a random memory. We put it normally closed, so it's always functioning. It activates a multiplication operation between D408 and D409. Now this multiplication gives us D410, which is bottle passage time multiplied by number of bottles. How do we get these values? We input them here. First, we choose the bottles number. If we want to clean, let's say 10 bottles per passage, we enter this number here. The second one is the bottle passage time, which we get from here. You see, for every size we have different passage time. Of course, the biggest one will take the biggest amount of time, which is 110 milliseconds. We input it right into the bottle passage time. As we can see here, this is related to D409, and thus we have this value. Now the timer will start running, of course. When it's done, and M0, we always add this Y to ensure that we are in the automatic mode. So we always put M0. This is very important. So not to mix between the manual mode and the automatic mode. And we will put the inverse of it here in all the manual instructions later. So T201 is activated. Now it activates another timer. This is the timer to enter the gripper. You see, the bottles will need a time. So the first time goes, the first timer will take the bottles to this area, and after that close the actuator too. No, it will close the actuator too from the beginning. When the timer here, T01, is done, that means that we have all the bottles we need in this area. Now, after this timer is done, it will activate another timer which will let these bottles into the gripper, and of course this will be opened. So timer T201, 202 will start running here, and of course we have a data register 2003. Where did this value come from? Well, from here. We just added, it's the same value of D410, but we added a half second to ensure that they have actually entered the gripper, so no one stay at the edge. After that, we have the M0 here. The gripper is not activated. We don't need this, so we're just gonna delete it. So, as we've seen, T201 will activate the Y1, which is the first piston. So, how will it activate it? It will close it. So it's normally open, this actuator. So when 201 is active, has finished counting, it will attract the actuator, which allows the bottles to go towards the second piston here. Now this is normally open. So when this timer has done counting, unlike the first piston, it will be opened, which will block the bottles. And the third piston here has the same movement of the second piston. Now here, when the time to enter the gripper has done, we activate a third timer, which is T3, for only half a second. What will this do? This is like a safety factor that we add, that's all. After that, a safety factor that we add, we'll explain these later, don't worry about that. Now, when this timer here has ended counting, this means that all the bottles we are sure that they are in the gripper, and thus we hold them with it. Yes, after that, we hold them with the gripper. After that, when Y4 is activated, so now the gripper holds the bottles. Now we are ready to take it to the cleaning area. How do we take it to the cleaning area? We activate the motor, which is related to Y5. So we come here. After the gripper holds the bottles, we give it one additional second. This is also a safety factor, a delay before the flipping operation. Now, after that, This we will not be needing, so we can delete it. When T4 is done, it will activate Y5, which is the flipping operation. It will take the bottles to the cleaning area. Now here we have some additional safety factors that ensures that everything is in place. First, the upper sensor should be running, which is mean that if the motor is it's at the conveyor, this will give us a signal. This is normally closed. This is why we put it like this. This will give us a signal to ensure that the motor is in its place. If it's in its place, it will activate and go towards the cleaning area. This one is, of course, as we said, to ensure that we are in the automatic process. This one is just to ensure that the motor, this is like an interlock we do. So, as we said here, I did one wrong thing actually. I have to correct it. This is connected to 21, not to 7. So, here we ensure that we are not giving two signals to the motor at the same time. So, the motor is not allowed to go clockwise and anti-clockwise at the same time ever. So, as long as it is not, we are not giving a signal to the up flipping, it of course will not run. And of course, the down limit switch, which is the one in the cleaning area, must not be activated. So we are not taking any signal from it. If this is the case, it will run normally. Now what we have done here is, this is the down flipping. After the delay is over, now we will reset the timer. So the motor will no longer take any signal. So it will stop running. To ensure that it doesn't stop running, what we do is, we put a latch for it. This latch will keep it running, and we put it from here. Now, when the motor reaches the cleaning area, how will it stop? Well, this one will stop it. You see, why did we connect this here and not here as an example? Because if we connect it to here, the moment that the motor is no longer at the conveyor, this switch will disconnect the motor from its power. So we cannot put it here. We'll explain later why we did the same for this one. And so we connect it right here. When the down limit switch sees the motor, it will immediately stop it. Now we have already fixed this, so we don't really need it. I changed something. We continue. Now when the down limit switch give us a signal that the motor is at the cleaning area, we activate this timer. This is the cleaning time. How many seconds we need the bottles to be cleaned for. This one we can make an input here. This is connected to D2000 and thus it keeps running. It's connected to D2000. Now, when the cleaning this sensor also activates the cleaning nozzles, of course. We put a set here and they will start cleaning the operation. When does we reset the nozzles? Of course, when the down limit switch is no longer reading that there is any bottles to be cleaned. So we do a reset. Now, this is the cleaning timer. This one will ensure that all the bottles have been cleaned for enough time, and after that we will activate the motor to goes towards the conveyor. We also here add some additional safeties like this one. X1 is no longer is reading that there is a motor at the cleaning area. This is the start or the automation mode. And the down flipping, as we said, we have an interlock. They should not be working at the same time. This is the up limit switch. It should not be reading that there is any motor at the conveyor. And we will explain this later. Now we come here. So whenever the sensors, the up limit switch sees the motor, it will immediately do a reset to stop the motor. After that, we come here. This, of course, will reset T4. Of course, for all the timers we have worked with, we need to make resets. So here we have chosen these like the most appropriate resetters. This one resets T4, X2 resets T1. Now we're gonna ask a question. Let's say we are here at the point where we activated the motor to goes towards the cleaning area here, which Y5. At this point we have put, as you have seen, we have added some memories here. Now we're gonna talk about these right now. So as you might have seen, we have added in the program some other memories. What are these memories for? We said that they are like a safety factor. So let's talk about that. The time to enter the gripper, which is the timer 202, will activate this memory. After the bottles goes to the gripper, we will activate this memory and we will do a reset for this memory when the motor goes to the cleaning area. So after the time designated to enter the gripper T202 is finished, we set this memory. When it is resetted when the motor runs counterclockwise Y5 to the cleaning area. We added this memory exactly right here. You see, if this memory is not activated, the motor will never goes to the cleaning area. So it is not permitted for the motor to go to the cleaning area if M116 is not set to 1. This ensures that the motor never goes empty to cleaning area without bottles. This is the purpose of this memory, because as we have seen here, we set it after the timer has stopped counting, which means that the bottles are inside the gripper. This is very important actually, because when we were working, we encountered this problem that the motor will goes back empty-handed to the cleaning area, which is something that of course we don't want at all. So this memory is very important to add.